When I say Mavericks on the, you say move. Mavericks on the move. Mavericks on the move. Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to Mavericks on the Move. My name is Jamilah Corbitt. I am the creator and host of Mavericks on the Move, where we bring together entrepreneurs and business professionals to create symbiotic partnerships. We have an awesome show for you today. All three of my guests have built and sold their companies. More when we return.
Visit MavericksOnTheMove.com to catch up on the latest episodes, stay up to date, browse pictures from past events, and to grab your signature merch.
My first guest built and sold a sports franchise. Please help me welcome to the stage, Marquise Neal. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Always good to have you. So tell us a little bit about your background and what made you want to start a sports franchise?
Well, what made me want to, I'll give you more or less about my background and how I got into I9 Sports. Pretty much when I was in the military, I had a passion for kids and sports just because of my background being in sports. And once I got out the military, I had a great job at Fort Belvoir working for 3- and 4-star generals. I mean, a very cushy job. If they weren't there, I don't have to work. But I always felt that there was something missing, so I had to sit back and think about exactly what is it that I want to do with my life and what were my passions. And it always revolved around kids and sports. No matter what I came up with, it was always either kids or sports. So at that point in time, I started to look and see what I could actually do to blend the two. And that's when I came across the I9 Sports franchise and started to communicate with them back and forth to see what I could actually do to acquire a franchise. Unfortunately, that didn't actually work out right immediately like I thought it would. I ended up having to go to Iraq and serve the country. And once I got back...
Thank you for your service.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. But once I got back, pretty much I said, as long as I'm back with 10 fingers, 10 toes, and whatever they consider a sound mind, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And that's how I ended up purchasing I9 Sports. So I got back from Iraq in, I would say, September, and I purchased in October.
What year?
2007.
Okay.
Yeah, 2007.
And did you have investors?
No, everything was out of pocket. See, the funny thing about life is through your dark times is usually the sun usually shines. And going to Iraq, it was pretty dark. You don't know if you're coming back. You don't know if you're going to see your family, that type of stuff. So the good thing about it is when you're over there, everything is tax-free. Everything is, I can't spend any money because, I couldn't spend any money. I'm fighting. Right. So pretty much everything that I did stack up over there and saved up while I was in Iraq and things of that sort, it went directly into the business.
And what's the capital behind, the capital that's required to start a franchise? Could you share a little bit of the money involved with that if you're comfortable?
Yeah, it all depends on the territory size, and obviously you can go to I9 Sports franchise to get more information, but it all depends on the territory size. For me, I had a territory size of over 350,000 kids in my area, so I was on the higher end of what it would cost to actually purchase. So for me, it cost around anywhere between $60,000 or $70,000 just to get in. But you still have to understand what your operating costs are, your marketing costs, starting up.
And that was my next question, your growth process, because you actually grew it. And did you put a lot of marketing dollars behind it, or was it organic, word of mouth? How did it happen?
Absolutely. I put a lot of money in to start it up just to get the word out. Even though the franchise, when I purchased, it was 3 years old, I was the very first one here in Baltimore. So the franchise was never even heard of, so I had to brand it and things of that sort. So I put a lot of money into, I would say, my very first year, my very first season. I think I put about $10,000 to $15,000 worth of marketing into my very first season, which carried over throughout the rest of the year and things of that sort. Did you have a staff
that helped you with this?
Not at first. You
were doing it on your own?
I was doing it on my own, yeah. I was doing everything on my own. But as things grew, and every location was different. I had about 5 different locations, and every location was different. Some locations I had to put more marketing dollars in, where other locations I didn't do anything, but it grew just because of word of mouth. So it's just understanding your area, your territory, and what you need to do, what you don't need to do to draw the participants that you need.
Okay. And how did you know you were ready to sell your business and move on?
Divorce.
Ooh.
Yeah, divorce will do that to you. But the good thing about it is, at that point in time when I was going through my divorce, initially going through the divorce, I didn't want to sell. It's a lot of pride. I built it up. When you're building your business, this is your baby. So initially, I didn't want to sell. I wanted to continue to give it my all and things of that sort. But stress, marital issues, all of a sudden you're a single parent. It's a lot of stress that comes along with divorce, and that's when I actually did put it up for sale. It didn't sell.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, the process of the sale. So you decided, okay, I'm in this divorce, it's stressful, it's time to let go, it's time to exit my business, I want to sell it. What was the process? What did it take to get it sold? Like, did you put it on the market and then someone was like, oh, I want this business? How did it happen?
Well, by it being a franchise, the process is a little different. You have to alert the franchise that you do want to sell first and foremost.
Do they give you permission?
Well, if you want to sell,
do they have to give you permission?
Well, if you want to sell, yeah. If you want to sell, they kind of have to give it to you. It's not even a have to. It's just, okay, you want to sell? Fine. Obviously, they want to keep you on board because it takes a lot. Just like getting a new customer, I'm a customer to the franchise. So it takes a lot, especially when you're looking at owning a franchise. It takes a lot to onboard somebody that's going to be a franchisee, especially after they vetted them, and somebody that's been on for a while, they would like to keep you. However, it is your decision if you do want to sell it. It is your business, and you have to do what's right for the business as well as yourself.
And this is after 10 years?
No,
How many years?
Well, the divorce happened, I would say, around 3 or 4 years in. So that's when I did put it up on the market. Once again, the difference with franchise versus a private-owned business is a lot of things have to go through the franchise. So the person, if you wanted to purchase it, I think you're a good fit. It doesn't matter what I think. What matters is what the franchise thinks, because you have to be a good fit for the franchise.
So the franchise qualifies
absolutely
the buyer.
Absolutely. So that's what can take the process from being the normal anywhere between 6 to 9 months to however long.
And how long did it take you to actually sell?
Years.
Woo!
It took me years. It was a lot of things that were involved with it. I did have a lot of inquiries with it. But once again, dealing with the franchise, the people that they had on board to help sell it did not pan out. So what I ended up doing was just taking it off of the market at that point in time. But the benefit was, with the inquiries that I was getting, I knew that my franchise was worth a certain amount. That was the beautiful thing about it. So when you're valuing it, like, I knew, okay, I had a good product on my hand. I had a good business that was able to sell and things of that sort.
And now you've transitioned into something new. Let's talk about that. What's new for you?
So what I do now is help high achievers gain a competitive edge through challenging times, through mindset mastery. So just for an example, speaking of the divorce, just going through the divorce, a lot of things that are going through your head, it's hard to stay focused and be energetically engaged in your business at that point in time. It went from a business that I loved doing and wanted to go out there to I have to go out there. So obviously, when you have that type of attitude where you feel like you're forced and things of that sort, my energy wasn't there. So pretty much what I do is helping them overcome those obstacles, finding out what those influences are that are affecting them at that point in time. It could be spiritual, mental, those type of things, and then coming up with their own success plan, their own individualized success plan to help them to peak performance.
Because you've done it.
I've done it.
You've done it, and now you're teaching it.
Absolutely.
So how can people reach you?
So triple TPC is my website, triple TPC, or you can go to Triple Threat Performance Coaching on Facebook.
And let's give Marquise another round of applause.
Today's show is brought to you by I Am a Brand, empowering you with the simple systems and tools to connect your products and services to the people that need them the most. PMI Silver Spring Chapter, practitioners of impact and a safe community for learning, growing, and enabling your professional development. Transformation Center of Excellence, integrating the behavior and management sciences for people and organizations to guide their transformation journey.
Now we're going to have Q&A. Does anyone have any questions for Marquise?
So Marquise, can you speak to some of the benefits and challenges associated with franchise ownership?
A lot of the things that you have to do as a startup entrepreneur, building your website, finding your target market, marketing plans, things of that sort, is already taken care of when it comes to a franchise. That's one of the difficult things when it comes to owning your own without the help of a franchise. With that being said, some of the difficulties is a lot of the things that you want to implement on your own, you have to go through the franchise because you are protecting their brand at the end of the day. So those are the biggest challenges as well as the biggest benefits of owning a franchise.
So what would you say is something that you were looking for in a buyer, you and the franchise looking for, and what was the best situation? And if you could do it all over again, was there anything you can do different?
It's not too much I could have done differently because at the end of the day, the franchise had the final say on who they want. And that is pretty much hard to go against what they want. There were tons of people, even some people that I met in my coaching class that actually tried to purchase my franchise. But for some odd reason, the franchise didn't approve of them. So in that aspect, it's hard for me to say. If it was my own, I want somebody that honestly was like me when I started. You know, I want somebody that has the passion for the kids. I want somebody that has the passion for the community, because I was able to build this brand in a community that I grew up in and was able to provide these opportunities for the kids. So that's what I would be looking for in somebody that is purchasing any business that I start. I want them to have the same exact passion for the kids or whatever my product or service is at that point in time.
My next guest has over 20 years of experience as a salon owner. More when we return.
Are you a busy professional looking to improve your overall health and wellness? The Food Is Not Bae program, created by Dr. Ebony, is a self-paced online course designed to help you create a healthier relationship with food. This comprehensive course consists of 12 modules designed to guide you through the process of challenging emotional eating, body image issues, uncontrollable cravings and snacking, and the constant cycle of dieting. To learn more about how to participate in the Food Is Not Bae program, go to drebony.com/foodisnotbae.
This next guest built and sold her salon. Let's give a warm welcome to Joanne Jones. Hey. Thanks for joining me today, JoJo. Can I call you JoJo?
Of course.
I want us to learn a little bit about your background because I think your story is interesting. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where is your family originally from? And how you got into the hair care business.
Okay, I'm originally from Kenya. I came here when I was 5 years old. We grew up in D.C. and Montgomery, PG County throughout the years. I was in high school at Hyattsville, Adelphi, Northwestern High School, Wildcats, woo! So I was going to a girl in the neighborhood that was braiding my hair, and she would braid my hair. She was always late. She would never show up. So it was really just getting on my nerves. So one day I had something going on later that week. I had to get my hair done on this particular day. So I go to her house, knock on the door. She doesn't answer the door. This is typical her. So what I did was I had my hair. I went home. I did my own hair. I was like, okay, I can do this. I asked my sisters, hey, how does my hair look? They were like, that looks terrible.
I thought you were going to say it looked awesome.
No, it looked terrible. But I was like, I'm going to do my hair, and one day you're going to pay me to do your hair. So I just kept doing it. I mastered it, and that's where the dream was born, like just to do hair, to make people beautiful, to just, save time, all of that.
And then you got really good at it.
I got really good at it.
So good that she does my hair, y'all.
Ow.
She actually been doing my hair since I was 12, so I can vouch that she knows what she's doing. And I remember when I first started getting my hair done by you, you were in a strip mall.
Yes.
And I didn't know at the time, because I was young, that was actually your business.
Yes.
And so you're a seasoned vet because you were there, and then you ended up going into an independent location.
Yes.
But for our viewers who are interested in maybe opening up their own shop, what's the biggest piece of advice you could give them about opening up a business like that?
The biggest advice I would give is, number one, your location and how you want to do it. The strip mall, you're still bound by the management company and what they want from you. Similar to what he was talking about with selling to a franchise. When we were selling the business, the management company had to approve of who we had coming up that wanted to buy the business. So it's still not, okay, I have such and such, we're selling it. It wasn't like that. They still had to have their business plan and other things approved by them, not just us. So that made it a little difficult. But with the second salon, which was we owned the property, we owned the land, we owned the whole structure. So we were able to do what we wanted to do, and they would just have to get their licensing through the Department of Licensing and Regulations. So that was a much easier transition because we owned our land, not just the business.
So you learned from that experience.
Absolutely.
And you was like, I'm just going to own my own land and not have to worry about that anymore.
Absolutely. And the first business was me and my father. So he was very knowledgeable in finances and different aspects of that. And I was kind of, just knew the industry and the hair. So we were made just a great team.
That's awesome. That it was a family business.
Absolutely.
That's good. And what's the difference between having a franchise salon and an independently owned salon?
It was similar to your past guest. He was talking about how the franchise sets the standard of how you're going to do everything, and the products that you use, the styles that you're going to do, the type of prices you're going to set. They set all of that.
They have their own processes
and
procedures, intellectual property.
Exactly, even up to how you greet somebody, which doesn't work very well when you want to be an independent contractor and you want to show your own creativity.
And what are some of the pros and cons?
Pros and cons are, again, you have a label, a brand that's already established, so it's easier to build from that because they already have something that is a standard set for the industry. So I know if I'm coming here, if I want to buy the Dry Bar is well known. They have great, products. They have a good business standard and a business model already in place. So if you're going to work and buy, if you're going to buy one of those, you're good, But if you're going to do your own, you have to brand yourself, and you have to decide if you want to have a salon that is basically independent contractors, which are booth renters that do it's like everyone has their own business within the business, or if you want to do commission, which is people that are going to take a percentage of what you are already bringing into the salon.
And how was your salon able to grow? Because you did grow that thing.
Oh, yes, I did.
You grew it. I remember you had nail techs and all that.
Yeah. It was at the time when we opened the salon, braiding was just really firing up the scene. So we had braiders in there, which brought in a lot of business, and the braiders would come in, they see, people styling while they're getting braided, so it just worked well for both. So the stylists that were getting their hair styled would see braiding happening, so when they wanted braids, they would come to the braiders. When you wanted your hair done, you would come to the stylist if you were coming out of your braids. So it worked very well together, and in between time, you go to the manicurist in the back to kill time. So
and it was
everything worked.
It seems like it was a lot of word of mouth.
It was a lot of word of mouth, and it was also we when we first opened, again, it was a lot of people calling you, hey, advertise with us, we'll bring you a bunch of people, we'll bring you this. We fell for so many of those, and we spent thousands on advertising, and it did not bring you that much business. So it's basically word of mouth, the area will know about you. We'll do flyers. We did like open houses. We'll do stuff like have a DJ and stuff, and so that the people
Community
around,
events.
Exactly.
So you bring in the neighborhood.
Absolutely. That always did very well for us.
And then it's easy once you get those customers in, you do a good job, and then it become repeat customers.
Exactly.
And that was the key.
Exactly. And you could do minimal advertising like the Val coupons. We would do those. That always brought in people, and it's not very expensive to do. So doing the other bigger ones does not bring you the amount of money that you're putting into it.
Owning a salon is very ambitious, kids. So can you tell us about the operating costs of going into a venture like that?
Okay, I think the biggest operating cost is always maintenance, because the equipment gets so much wear and tear. So you have to put so much money in fixing this and fixing that. Your rent, electricity is always through the roof, because all of our equipment uses so much power.
Just the maintenance, the everyday stuff.
Yeah, the everyday
because
stuff.
I think you had booth renters, correct?
Yes.
And so you had to take care of their booths as well.
Well, they had to keep it clean, but if something breaks down, it's on the business to fix. Absolutely.
Right.
The braiders were commissioned, so that was easy because they're not using a bunch of power. We just had to supply the hair and get the person in there to braid, so that was the easiest part of all.
Okay. And so what's next for you? What are you up to these days?
Okay, now I am more of a social entrepreneur. I've made money throughout the years, but now I'm making money and making a difference. So the lovely jewelry that I am wearing is called Kenyan Cutie.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes. So in Kenya, when I went back and visited, I saw how beautiful the jewelry was, and I also saw a lot of poverty going on in some of the more rural areas. So again, the dynamic duo, me and my father, he's got a food bank that is located here, but it's based out of Kenya. So every $10 purchase of the jewelry, $1 goes to the food bank and feeds people in the village.
That's an amazing,
So
amazing
I'm
mission.
loving that. So it feels good every time I sell a piece.
And so how can people reach you and buy your stuff?
Okay, you can find me on Instagram at Kenyan Cutie, cutie with a K. You can cell phone 202-246-3288.
Let's give another round of applause for Joanne.
Show the world you're a Maverick on the Move by grabbing your signature merch from our online store. Visit mavericksonthemove.com/shop to securely place your order. Worldwide shipping is available.
So JoJo, can you talk a little bit of how you transitioned out of kind of ownership of a traditional business and then going into your own creative venture? How did that work, and how was that for you?
When I did sell the second business, again, I was going through a divorce, so I just
The D word.
But the second business, it was a must sell. And I was tired. I was also ready to go, but it just needed to be sold. But I needed some downtime in between, so sometimes you just have to regroup. So the regrouping, this is just what gave me something that empowered me and made me want to do something, because even with the Kenyan Cutie, it's also female vendors that were purchasing from there that are female entrepreneurs themselves. They make the jewelry, they sell them as vendors. So empowering them, the food, it just gives me something to do. So it was just a transition that I had to just kind of fall back and find that passion to do something. And it's amazing. I'm still cutting hair now and doing hair on
She still does my hair, y'all.
I still do hair, but this is the passion that is the forefront of what I want to be doing.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you talk a little bit about the two sales experience and how that journey went and what made you sell and, the type of buyer you were looking for?
Okay, the first sale, we were looking for another salon or barbershop to come and take over, someone that wanted to already come in and take over something that had a couple of stylists that were in there. It was already a functional business. So you can value your business according to how well it's doing. So if the business is making money, then you're selling a lucrative business. If the business is not making money, you're not going to get as much for it, of course. So the first experience was a little easier because it was a business that was already pretty much established. So it was a little easier to transition out of that one. The second one, we were kind of on the shutdown mode already. So it wasn't as easy to sell, but it was attractive because you didn't have to go through a strip mall, situation to purchase it, or going through the management rather through a strip mall to do it. So it was a little easier once, a buyer was found.
When we return, we're going to hear from an attorney who's going to share some tips on how to prepare your business for the sale. We can agree that the digital landscape is transforming the way we do business. At I Am a Brand, we believe in merging the technology and human layer to digitally connect you with your customers worldwide and add more money to your bottom line.
Visit IamAbrand.co to learn more about how we can specifically help you compete in this digital world.
My next guest helps entrepreneurs navigate the legal side of owning a business. Please help me welcome to the stage Dr. Michael Mort.
Wow, great introduction. I can't wait to hear me.
Dr. Mort, or do you like to be called Michael? Which
Just
one?
Michael. That's good.
Michael, just Michael, plain old Michael. We've worked together in the past.
Right.
But I had no clue your background was so diverse. Can you walk me through the journey of how you went from electrical engineer to attorney at law?
Yeah, so basically I'm a geek. I got an undergraduate degree in mathematics, and I got a PhD in electrical engineering, and kind of converted part of my PhD thesis into this software company. And like every entrepreneur, I had no idea what I was doing. I just learned by the seat of my pants. But it was go-go times, and things exploded. The company did really well, and I ended up selling it. What did I do after that? Nothing. Played for a long time. But I missed being part of the game. Even when I owned the company, I was always looking for deals. I wanted to do some kind of deal, make something bigger than myself. So when I thought about what to do next, I said, what could be farther from software development than anything? Oh, I'll be a lawyer. But I wanted to focus on being a lawyer for entrepreneurs. So that's what we have now, a small firm that focuses on the legal needs of entrepreneurs.
And so as entrepreneurs, I know we put a lot of focus into actually growing our business, and we can neglect the intellectual property side. So tell us why we shouldn't neglect that side and why it's important in the process of selling a company.
Right. So actually intellectual property is important in all aspects of the business, not just for sale. The concept of private property is the biggest source of wealth creation the world's ever known. And when we all watch Shark Tank, right?
I love Shark
And
Tank.
everybody asks, what is proprietary about your business? All the sharks want to know, if I buy into this, how is my interest going to be protected? And that's where intellectual property comes in. When you own something that nobody else can use. Nobody else can use the name of your company if you've registered it as a trademark. Nobody else can use your products if you've filed a patent on them. Nobody else can use the ad material that you've created or the stories that you've written if you filed a copyright. And nobody else can figure out what you're doing if you keep your some proprietary things trade secret. Those are the 4 forms of intellectual property, and they'll help you grow your business, and they'll be the things that the buyer or an investor will look for when they want to buy. In fact, they're the things that you want in order to protect your business as well.
And I think this is a good segue because we had 2 guests who were talking about they had an independent business. One person had an independent business and the other person had a franchise.
Right.
So intellectual property is important when you have a franchise as well, because maybe you don't want to sell it. Maybe you just want to sell a piece of it, or with the franchise you sell intellectual property. Basically?
Right. So a franchise is based on a trademark and trade secret. So a franchise or the franchisor, the person that owns the intellectual property, licenses or lets somebody else use their trademark and also teaches them how to run that business using the trade secrets, like the private forms that are used internally, the formulas for the food or whatever it is they're franchising, the processes they use for a little gym. All those kinds of things are trade secrets.
And what's your ideas or your advice about sharing ideas with or without an NDA? At what point do we need to get that signature and say, hey, I'm not sharing this idea with you until you sign this?
Right. So as I mentioned, there are 4 forms of intellectual property. 3 of them you register: patent, trademark, and copyright. The 4th form is called trade secrets. And the law requires you to keep secrets secret. Now, everybody even the law knows that you can't do everything yourself. You're going to have to bring somebody in to help you. But how do you do that and still keep it mainly a secret from your competitors and from the general public? That would be by anybody that you bring in to help you, whether it's an employee, an independent contractor, a licensee that's going to make the products for you. You get them under a contract called a non-disclosure agreement that says, this is my stuff, this is my idea, this is my property, and you're not allowed to tell anybody else. And if you do, the courts are going to help me recover my damages that you did, the damages that you created by sharing my secrets. So why would you do that? You want to keep your thing a secret. You want to keep it your property. And at what point do you issue an NDA? Well, you can talk in general, vague terms about your product with anybody. But if you get into the nitty-gritty of how it's made or what's the secret sauce, you better have a non-disclosure agreement before you get into those kind of details.
But people go on Shark Tank all the time without NDAs. So is that risky?
Well, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes before the product is disclosed.
Right.
Many of them go on and they already have a patent that they're protected under patent. Others do have some proprietary information and they really don't talk about that proprietary stuff.
And let's talk about Shark Tank a little bit, because what happens when the cameras stop rolling? They land a deal, okay,
Right.
I want to invest in you. And we think, okay, overnight they're going to be millionaires.
Right.
But what actually happens when the cameras stop rolling? Because there's a lot of due diligence involved.
Right.
after
Okay.
that,
So
right?
I'm not in Shark Tank. I'm not privy to all the things
Disclaimer.
that go on, but I can tell you what goes on when you talk about a deal. It's basically you're bringing on an investor and you have some ideas in mind of how much you're going to share with them, how much you're going to get in return, what kind of things they're going to do for you as an investor. And so those deals that are cut verbally on stage have to be backed up by massive contracts. Sometimes there are stipulations that say, I'm going to give you the money as long as such and such happens. That will all be covered in contracts, probably very long contracts, as a matter of fact, that have lots of details that cover properly allocate risks and manage the expectations of both sides.
And so what can entrepreneurs do to prepare their business for an exit?
Yeah, so there are a lot of things that happen to create an exit. You know, we say luck is where preparedness meets opportunity, right? And sometimes you just can't tell where the opportunity is going to come from. To be honest with you, I was not looking to sell my business. It wasn't a high priority for me. What I thought was going to happen was I was going to continue to build it. I was trying to create opportunities where I could actually buy or merge with some other company.
What
So
swayed you?
what happened was somebody came to me with an offer that I couldn't refuse.
There we go, the money.
Right. So you want money, and I have to tell you that money is not the only thing you look for when you exit, because you build this baby. It's yours, and it's like almost like seeing your daughter grow up and get married. Like, I'm giving this thing to somebody else. There's an aspect of control that's involved. I happen to stay on to help run the merged company after I sold. That's often a desirable situation because the buyer wants to feel like there's going to be a transition time. Not only do they want some protection against competition using intellectual property, but they want to know that the person who developed this can help guide the transition. And there might be some examples, might be you stay on as a consultant for 6, 9 months or a year or something like that, or maybe, in my case, run the company afterwards.
Yeah, so can you share a little bit of the process from the interest to the actual acquisition or merger?
Right. So obviously somebody's got to broach the subject first. I want to sell or I want to buy you, and an initial high-level conversation takes place. The next step is usually what's called a letter of intent. It's a non-binding agreement that says we agree that we're going to negotiate around these general terms. And that would contain very high-level stuff like we're going to probably pay so much, or if I'm selling, I'm going to get paid so much. I'm probably going to stick around for a certain length of time. How is the payout going to be structured, et cetera. And then if we all agree on those high-level things, then we go into due diligence period. The buyer will certainly do due diligence on the seller, but the seller should do some due diligence on the buyer. And then a definitive agreement that says all the details about exactly what's going to be transferred, whether it's going to be a stock purchase or an asset purchase. There's a lot of details that have to be covered, and the purchase agreement could be 30, 40 pages long.
And how long does it usually take?
It can take months. It can take 3-4 months easily. And there are a lot of other things that might be involved. If location's important, as your previous speaker said, location's often important. So there have to be an agreement that the landlord will be allowed to will allow you to transfer the lease. If a franchise is involved, obviously the franchisor has to be in agreement. So there's a lot of things going on in the background, not just the purchase.
And let's back up to the person understanding who's buying the company. Why is that important?
Right. So you can imagine most deals are going to be structured where you're not going to get, as the seller, you're not going to get payout right away. It might be structured over a period of time, and there might be some...
maybe like an earn-out.
An earn-out, exactly. Yeah. So you have to know that the buying company has the wherewithal to be able to pay you over time. You have to understand whether or not the buying company's culture is going to fit with the one that you're selling. Are your employees going to want to stick around? What about location? Is there going to be if a buying company is in Boston and we're selling a company here in DC, is there going to be some travel involved? So you have to understand whether or not that's going to be required.
And you help entrepreneurs and business owners do just this, help navigate this whole process.
To be honest with you, we get involved in everything from starting up. We might be involved in helping people buy companies and then grow them, bring on investors, review their commercial leases, and then when they get big enough that they want to sell, yes, we'll help them with all the paperwork that involved in selling as well.
And how can people reach you?
Okay, so the name of my law firm is Argent Place Law, and Argent is the Latin word for silver or money. That's why I chose that. That's the money place. So it's argentplacelaw.com.
Let's give him another round of applause.
If you're searching for a keynote speaker, panelist, workshop presenter, or host able to electrify audiences, Jamilah is the industry maverick you've been looking for. Visit JamilahCorbitt.com to learn more.
Hey, how's it going? So when it comes to buying and selling a house, a lot of times lawyers look to see if there's any liens or anything like that on the house. Is there anything similar to that you look for in a business when purchasing it?
That's a very good question. Yes, there is. There's not only liens, but there's something called UCC reports, the financing statements. So the buyer is going to check to make sure that there aren't any equivalent of a lien, there aren't any financing statements filed against the selling company.
So I understand you do a lot of this work yourself, but if you're an entrepreneur and looking to do your own trademarking or copywriting, what advice would you give to them, and how difficult is that process?
Okay, that's a good question too. As a matter of fact, it's a lot harder being an engineer and an entrepreneur than it is to be a lawyer. You can learn everything you wanted to know if you're willing to spend the time and studying it. So trademark office is part of the is connected to the patent office. So if you go to uspto.gov, and there's two sides there, the trademark side, the patent side, you click on the trademark side at uspto.gov. There are a lot that's a great website actually. There are a lot of tutorials, there's videos to help you through. You can actually go through the entire application process just for practice.
Next, we'll hear from business owners in the audience. Stay tuned.
To advertise a product or service on the show, visit MavericksOnTheMove.com/partner.
Hi, we're Mary Beth and James Highland, and together we run a couples workshop called Love Lens. It's all about helping couples who are interested in having a more intentional relationship with one another. So we spend time helping them to know what their values are as unique individuals and where they overlap so they can live a life that's filled with purpose and intention together.
Yeah, in this hyper-connected world, we're often disconnected from what matters most, our partners, and this is about getting reconnected.
And that's today's show. Thank you so much for watching. If you're watching at home on YouTube, don't forget to give this a thumbs up, share it out, and comment. Remember, each one teach one, each one reach one. Now, no. I forgot already.
And help high achievers cut.
You can't say cut. What was the question?
What am I doing?
Okay.
What do you do? With my life.
Stay tuned. Okay, we gotta do it again. Sorry. You guys, I need you guys to clap.
Hi, Mavericks on the Move was an amazing experience. We got to meet other like-minded individuals and entrepreneurs and business owners, and it's so unusual to see so many awesome people in one space.
I learned a lot, met a lot of great people, and I can't wait to come to the next event.